Issue 262 Reboot. The heroes beat the badniks in one hit. I mean, guy monsters, but they're just as easy to beat and even more mindless. At least the badniks have a focus, and therefore brain, because they're focused on fighting the heroes in particular. Coral tells them that there will be many more monsters because they come from the Anostis rift by the hundreds every night. Well, there sure are a lot of them on the planet then. I couldn't imagine there being that many of them in one place every night. But I guess they keep being respawned because they're just video game enemies. And this is showing the realistic consequences to civilians in a world where those exist. Razor randomly reveals that the jerks have been stressing Coral out for weeks, and so it's their fault she lost her focus, and he cheers her up. Sonic just now got the idea that the city's overrun. Razor wants to stay with Coral, and Amy does too, and calls Sonic handsome. For once, she's the Amy you'd expect, and it's not just a bad joke this time. It's just a natural part of her character. But it'd be a natural part of her character to side with Sonic, not stay with Coral. Overall, she's nicer to Coral than she's been to Sonic. Last time I can remember her talking to Sonic directly was telling him to not be so impatient. And she spent an entire scene comforting Coral. Rotor and Sonic get air charms. I realized that even Sonic Boom had more realistic writing because the heroes were underwater in scuba suits that Tails was smart enough to think to make just in case. And they swim out of the cave. Wait, Sonic swam? So I guess his friends were smart enough to force him to get swimming lessons. So how fast can I scroll past the fighting this time? Because there's nothing to talk about with this. The one-hit kill fight scenes with these guys just brings the plot progression to a standstill with nothing interesting happening until they're done. It makes sense that Asshole cares more about an entire city of people than sending backup to the shrine. And it'd make even more sense if you knew Amy was defending it. Then Sonic says that they need the shrine for their shield. He says he can't spare any troops, as Sonic keeps wasting my time, and he wouldn't have done that if Coral didn't exist. The plot would have gone faster if they're just fighting without talking to each other. Okay, it's interesting that he can shoot lasers. Automatically makes the guards more easy to take seriously. And I'm surprised that he bothered telling Sonic to get down. But Sonic being impressed by him makes me wonder if I'm actually expected to like this asshole now. After our time is wasted, and I wish that Amy could have a laser shooting weapon, Coral says she's never had to raise an entire force field from nothing, and whines. And they say Sally whines too much in the reboot. This is like a parody of Sally. To be fair, I looked it up, and betas are known for being easily stressed out. Or betas, whatever. But I doubt Flynn knew that and based her character on that. That would have been cool. She plans to start with the Song of the Morning, even though I thought only the Mystic Melody was magical. And how are the Chow stupid enough to not go away to safety, and it says stay there and cry? I mean, you'd think they would cry while running away. She was also stupid enough to just stand there and scream instead of just immediately picking up a Chow and carrying and running away with it. So Amy had to bail her out. A lot of time could have been spared on us if she didn't exist either. And her phobia is apparently the reason why she's still here and didn't take care of the Chow. Wait, if she could just tell the Chow to follow her, what the fuck took her so long? I mean, I had no reason to believe Chow could even understand English at this point, because they didn't just go to safety a long time ago. The simple solution wasn't tried right away? I mean, Cream and Cheese can communicate, but Cream knows what Cheese is saying, so maybe he can read her mind. At least I'm getting through this issue really fast because the plot's so basic and pointless. There's not much to talk about because it's just the same repetitive, tensionless shit. So I'm already at the halfway point. Pearly says she put the Chow where they keep the air charms, and apparently Rotor and Sonic took the wrong air charms, because apparently there are wrong air charms. You know, fuck logic. Fuck not being convoluted. And this kind of plot hole shit is why I can't just breeze through every issue, like I did with STC. Okay, so the justification is that the charms weren't fully charmed. That's stupid! They wouldn't be not fully charged. Why wouldn't every charm charge up all the way instantly? It's magic! It's not like everything is guaranteed to take a long time to recharge no matter what. Scientists are inventing rechargers that can recharge stuff in minutes. So at least this is something that could happen with any charm, and it's not like some charms are different from the others. But this wouldn't have happened either. So that's what I meant by plot hole shit. Wouldn't it be much simpler and less rant-inducingly confusing if the air charms got destroyed by the monsters instead? I mean, that's the obvious idea, and it doesn't have a plot hole. Rhoda tries to swim up to the surface with Sonic, but the two get grabbed in the hands of a big monster. If the monsters had been made by Eggman, maybe I would have liked them. They'd have a clear purpose. And they'd make Eggman look more competent because he made them. Wait, the story ends there? Really? Well, basically nothing happened. Let me guess. Sonic will finally turn to the Werehog next issue. Even though it's been night and he didn't instantly transform by nightfall. I guess it's not a night thing anymore, and it's instead a stress-induced superform thing now. I do prefer that idea. I couldn't get enough of it in Fleetway. But Fleetway already did that with Supersonic, so this isn't new. In the next story, the heroes fight past Badniks. Antoine complains about them touching his hair, and one of them jinxes it by pointing to the way out. So I'm guessing they'll be immediately prevented from leaving. Ugh! Why is there another panel for jinxing it? She runs towards a minecart. I didn't know what was going on at first. It turns out Nicole raised a force field shield made of green squares to stop a laser from hitting them. Because she can do that now, outside of cyberspace? This made me think they were suddenly in cyberspace at first, because the green squares immediately reminded me of when Sally was trying to free Nicole from being Iron Nicole, and she created something around her. She tells them all to take cover, and gets interrupted. Why can she create green force fields? I guess if Bunny can do it, she can. But the way they look is just confusing, considering that's not in cyberspace. We'd only need one line to have this make sense. We could be reminded with a text box that they're just made of the same thing that Nicole's organic form is made out of. Solid air. Nicole gets hit and thrown to safety in her handheld form. Sally tells them to keep Not Gamma distracted trying to shoot lasers at them. You know, wouldn't it be cooler if Sally could make the force field instead? Because Nicole's already overpowered and has tons of different abilities, but Sally has basically nothing. They hit Not Gamma a few times to defeat him without getting hit. Is this the first time Antoine's had a confusing spin dash? I heard he could do that in the reboot without getting his sword stopped by the ground, somehow. It'd be cool and fine if he dropped his sword before he did it. I could totally accept that in the Reboot universe, he has a magical ability he doesn't usually have. Nicole says she's fine and just lost her ring, and they escape the cave on hoverboards. And I like that Big is actually smart enough to tell Froggy not to touch the Chaos Emerald, because he learned from SA1. He actually learned something and decided to make a decision to prevent something bad from happening again. Oh my god. Big is smarter than most of the characters in this comic. Let's see if this kind of moment happens more often with other people, because he's smarter than Shadow right now, and... I'm recording this after I read Sonic Universe issue 69. He makes a mistake a second time, and he makes another mistake a second time. Bunny jokes that Antoine could upgrade her wedding ring with an emerald, and I'm glad she says it was just poking fun, because... but then Antoine continues without pointing out what I was just about to say. Then an emerald would be way too big and obvious to be part of a wedding ring. I guess the writer didn't watch Sonic X. And then the story ends with redundancy. I hope this issue is a lot faster to make a review of than last time. At least that's one perk to the plot being basic and padded out. The first story, by Flynn, is nothing but the Dark Eye monsters being defeated in one hit each when they tried to... Who cares? It's nothing interesting. It's the same thing they always do. And then Sonic and Rhoda run out of air and get held under the water by a monster. It's forced that their charms weren't fully charged. But it could have easily made sense if instead their charms had been destroyed. I hope they leave Meropis next issue. This was just pointless to read. Neither story was worth reading. The second story, by Allah Baker, was about the heroes running out of the cave with the emerald. The end. They had to fight Not Gamma, but it only took a hit from each of them, and they were done. The only one who got hit was the one who can survive anything. That was pointless. I think the only interesting things that happened were that the characters displayed some new powers of theirs that they could have easily not had. I think the most interesting thing that happened was that Antoine didn't like that his hair was being touched. They could have gotten rid of the padding in the previous side story and put this plot at the end of it, and have this end in 2 issues like I'd expected. This is such a disappointing waste of time. This is why plots shouldn't be too basic with nothing to talk about. But if it was actually bad, I'd have a ton to talk about, and that wouldn't be a good thing, because the video would take forever to make. It was alright.